What are the odds of surviving one atomic bomb? The chances are already incredibly slim. Now, imagine surviving 2 atomic bombs in 2 different cities. In the span of just 3 days, it sounds impossible, like something from a movie script. But this isn't fiction. This is the true story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a man who stared into the heart of nuclear annihilation not once, but twice, and lived to tell the tale. This is the story of the unluckiest, or perhaps the luckiest man in history. But was it just luck, or was it something else entirely? Let's go back to August 5th, 1945. 29-year-old Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a brilliant young engineer from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, was in Hiroshima. He'd been there for 3 long months, away from his family, designing oil tankers for the war effort. This was supposed to be his last day. He was packed and ready, excited to finally get back home to Nagasaki, to his wife Hisako, and their infant son, Katsu. The next morning, Auguste Stiache was his ticket home. As he was leaving for the train station, he realized he'd forgotten something crucial for his trip report. His personal stamp. His asterisk. Hanko asterisk. Annoyed, he turned back towards the shipyard to retrieve it. It was 8:15 a.m. A simple, frustrating mistake. But this tiny act of forgetfulness would change the course of his entire life. As he walked, he heard the drone of an aircraft engine high above, but paid it little mind. It was a common sound. Then, he saw a small object drop from the plane, attached to 2 parachutes. Suddenly, the world erupted in a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns, a silent, blinding magnesium flare that burned the sky white. Instinct took over. Yamaguchi, a trained engineer, did the only thing he could. He dove headfirst into a nearby irrigation ditch, covering his eyes and plugging his ears. That split-second decision saved his life. The shockwave hit a moment later, a physical force that picked him up, spun him through the air like a leaf, and slammed him down into a potato patch. The temperature at the hypocenter, less than 2 miles away, reached an unimaginable 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Where Yamaguchi landed, the heat was still intense enough to cause severe burns all down the left side of his body. His eardrums were ruptured, and he was temporarily blinded. When he could finally see again, the world he knew was gone. A giant, terrifying mushroom cloud billowed over the city, blotting out the sun. The familiar landscape of Hiroshima had been replaced by an apocalyptic wasteland of rubble and fire. He stumbled through the ruins, surrounded by scenes of unimaginable horror, before finding refuge for the night in a crowded air raid shelter. He was in agony, disoriented, but alive. By August 8th, driven by the singular thought of getting home, he dragged his battered body to a train station. He managed to board a train packed with other burned and wounded survivors for the agonizing 12-hour journey to Nagasaki. As the train pulled away from the smoldering remains of Hiroshima, he must have thought the worst was over. He was tragically wrong. He arrived in Nagasaki on August scene, a bandaged and broken man. He made his way to a hospital, where a doctor looked at his horrific burns, but couldn't quite comprehend the story he told. The next morning, despite his injuries, he'd reported to his Mitsubishi office to explain what had happened. He stood before his boss, wrapped in bandages, and described the single bomb that had leveled an entire city. His boss was skeptical, even dismissive. A single bomb cannot destroy a whole city, he scoffed. You're an engineer. Calculated. You must be delirious. Yamaguchi began to explain the flash, the deafening boom, the shockwave, and just as he was describing the scene, at exactly 11:02 a.m., it happened again. An identical, blinding white flash consumed the office window. Before his boss could even react, Yamaguchi screamed, "Take cover!" and dove under his heavy wooden desk, pulling his disbelieving colleagues down with him. For the second time in 72 hours, an atomic bomb detonated just miles away. This bomb, nicknamed Fat Man, was even more powerful than the little boy that had destroyed Hiroshima. The office was ripped apart, but Yamaguchi's quick thinking and the sturdy desk saved their lives. He emerged from the rubble of his office into the ruins of his hometown. His new bandages were blown off, and his other arm was now burned. He was doubly wounded, doubly irradiated. He staggered through the devastation, desperate to find his family. Miraculously, he found his home still standing in a less damaged part of the city. His wife and son had been out shopping for burn ointment for him when the bomb fell. They had been caught in the blast, but had survived with minor injuries. Their reunion, in the smoldering ashes of a second destroyed city, is a moment almost too painful to imagine. In the weeks that followed, the true horror began. The atomic plague, radiation sickness, took hold. Yamaguchi's hair fell out in clumps. The burns on his arms turned gangrenous. He began vomiting uncontrollably. He was certain he was going to die. For months, he hovered on the brink of death, but somehow, he didn't. He slowly, painfully, recovered. The physical scars would last a lifetime. His left arm was permanently weakened, and he lost most of the hearing in his left ear. For the next 60 years, Tsutomu Yamaguchi remained silent. He went back to work, raised his family, and tried to live a normal life. He rarely, if ever, spoke of what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In post-war Japan, Hibakusha, the atomic bomb survivors often faced discrimination. They were seen by some as contaminated or carriers of a strange disease, making it difficult to find work or even marry. So, like many survivors, Yamaguchi buried his story. Some stories, he felt, are too heavy to carry and too heavy to tell. Then, in his 80s, something shifted. His son, Katsutoshi, who had survived the Nagasaki bomb as an infant, died of cancer in 2005. The loss was devastating, and it lit a fire in Yamaguchi. He realized his silence had to end. Around the same time, the director James Cameron expressed interest in making a documentary about the survivors. At the age of 90, Tsutomu Yamaguchi decided it was time to speak. He became a passionate advocate for nuclear disarmament. In 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized him as a near Hibakusha, a twice-bombed person. He was the only person officially recognized to have been in the blast zones of both bombings. He traveled the world, sharing his testimony. He even spoke before the United Nations, driven by a newfound mission. Having experienced atomic bombings twice and survived, he said, "It is my destiny to talk about it." Let's look at the staggering odds. Over 160 people were known to have been affected by both bombs. But Yamaguchi was the only one officially recognized by the government for being within the blast radius of both. The statistical probability is almost zero. So how did he do it? It was a combination of factors. In both cities, he was just under 2 miles from the hypocenter, close enough to be horrifically injured, but just far enough to survive the initial blast. His split-second decisions diving into the ditch, ducking under the desk were critical. And then there's the element of pure, dumb luck. Forgetting his stamp made him late. His location in the office was just right. He survived the Tsutomu Yamaguchi lived to the age of 93, passing Hawaii in 2010 from stomach cancer, a death his family attributed to his radiation exposure. His wife, Hisako, lived to be 88. He left behind 2 daughters and grandchildren, a testament to his impossible will to live. His story became a powerful symbol, not just of suffering, but of resilience. It put a human face on a geopolitical event and gave a voice to the hundreds of thousands who were silenced forever. So, was surviving twice a curse or a calling? For 60 years, it may have felt like a curse, but in the final years of his life, he transformed it into a sacred duty. His story is not just about the horror of the bomb, but about the profound responsibility that comes with survival. As a side, I can't understand why the world cannot understand the agony of the nuclear bombs. His life became a plea for a future free from these weapons. He survived the unsurvivable twice, so that the stories of all those who didn't would never be forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as powerful as we did, please like and subscribe for more chapters from history.